Office hours. You got just me today, Matt Vandenbeld at VCloudMatt on Twitter. And today we're just going to be kind of going over some stuff, answering some questions out there for anybody that's interested. And you're just going to kind of hear me chit chatting for a while. So there's not too much changing so far this week in the VMware Cloud realm. We're actually pushing forward with we're pushing forward to M5. So for all those that don't know what when we refer to M5, that's actually we refer to everything in the VMware or VMC is done on milestones. So that's what the M stands for. And we are now on our fifth release since our product launched just over a year ago. And what we're actually going for right now, so M5 is actually not particularly a particular date. It is the start of the milestone period, which can last 3 months. And in a couple of weeks, we're having our M5P1 release, which has a significant amount of, I wouldn't say bug feature, but feature enhancements again, and some more stuff coming. All of this stuff can be found via our roadmap page, which I can bring up here. So everybody can see that it's we're not hiding anything behind the curtains. We are very transparent on what we do, and this is just very publicly accessible. It's just on our cloud.vmware.com website that I'm hoping that everybody is familiar with. And this is kind of where you could go for everything. This is where you can go to launch the console to even get into VMC and all of our cloud services. But in this case, if you go through the VMware Cloud section, we do have this roadmap section here, which essentially has every item we're currently working on. And we work on 4 statuses. And I think that we've gone over some of this in the past, but it's worth rehashing a little bit. So we have 4 kind of statuses. So what planned is obviously by far the one that's kind of the longest term of the pipe. So that's something that we have agreed that we are going to be working towards and have begun the planning of it. Then it moves into the stage of developing after planned, which you can see there. Once we feel it's relatively ready to release, it moves into preview, and preview is a mode that we release it to certain select customers, and this can be long existing customers. This could be ones that are waiting on some functionality, but it's a subset of our customer base and us internally. So our team, the VMware Cloud customer success team, does get access to these preview bits, so we can do all the learning around it and come up with the best practices and solutions around it for our customers. And then once it kind of passes that stage and we kind of have everything, gave it the green check mark and it's good to go, it moves to available. And available means everybody's got it. So that's kind of the 4 statuses you see here. So if we were to just filter by planned, we have some stuff around site recovery. Like this is a big one that a lot of people have been waiting for, is protect up to 2,000 VMs for SDDC. Currently we're limited to 500, shortly going up to 1,000. We definitely want to continue to scale that up as far as we can. And 2,000 is going to be the cap most likely for the next little while, and that's for SDDC. So that's not a total for 2,000. That's just for SDDC. So if you need more than 2,000, you just set up another SDDC. It's a relatively very simple process and something that is definitely not that complicated, but we definitely want to get it up to at least 2,000. We wanted to be able to view motion things at different reasons. Anyway, I don't want to go through all of these anyway, so it's just, this is absolutely something that's great for everybody to know, to look through. This is pretty much as much information as everybody has. I mean, obviously on the internal side, we may have some more guidance into some of the features that are into the planned category or developing category, but for the most part, this is as good as anything, and this is something actually relatively new that VMware's done to become part of that cloud world and that CI/CD ecosystem. Is we're being very transparent with what's being worked on, and where everything is in that grand scheme of things. So if everybody didn't know as well, and I think it's on here now, we have a couple promotions going. Again, I'm not in sales, so I don't get any spit for this. I'm just mentioning it because it's something to me that if I was a customer, I'd be interested in. We are from VMworld, and just recently we have announced that they're 3 for 2, so you get 3 hosts at the price of 2. For everybody that also didn't know, that we have moved the size of our our smallest production cluster to 3 hosts. So previously we had 4 hosts was the smallest SDDC that you could create. Now it is 3. There is still the 1 node, but the single host is not what we call production. It is something that is, lack of a better term, time bombed, and it only exists for a month, and then it is destroyed and then recreated for you. It's good if you have workloads that need that and can do it, but to get any of the big services that we have, it's definitely want to go up to our full production SDDC, which is 3 hosts, and like I said, right now there's a really good deal going for it. I've been working through some of our stuff. The Bad Gateway is a new one. There is some news coming around, some cost insight announcements, which I'm sure everybody could figure out due to some of the acquisitions we've made lately. Network Insight is still good. So I mean, I think maybe we could talk a little bit about Network Insight for everybody that hasn't had the pleasure of actually working with the product. It is actually very, 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 very cool. And it's like Verni or VNRI, our on-prem version of your Network Insight, or I guess it's Network Intelligence on the premise version. Essentially, this is one of those really fantastic products that, of course, live demos, can actually, build out your topologies, see all of your apologize, flows for a lot of the stuff that we're working on, and I think that we've currently broken our lab. As we have been moving bits to our latest and greatest type things. We are actually coming out shortly with the identity services as well, which currently will require a little bit of work on everybody's side to get in place, but is using our identity management appliances, the VIDM, for authentication, which can bring in some advantages for customers looking for that level of access. And as always, if anybody's out there and around, they can always ask me questions, and we can go through and talk about a lot of things. And as you can see here, we have access to Cloud Assembly, which is, the new VRA in the cloud, for lack of a better description, which is actually broken into 3 different products. Which is, you can see the ones here that are available that we don't actually have access to. I'll have to get that access, and actually we do plan on having a series around Cloud Assembly. I think it's coming in the very near future. I'll keep an eye on the schedule. It's made of these 3 parts: Cloud Assembly, CodeStream, and Service Broker, which are independently SaaSed out, so you can pay for whatever pieces that you need. And it deploys to the cloud, it deploys to VMware Cloud, and AWS deploys to AWS natively if you want to, other clouds as well. I can try the risky click of seeing if this will load. And it does, so this is good. There's not much in here, and again, there is some webinars out there already around this, and we do plan on covering this in more detail. Prasan on our team has apparently been playing around with it and has set up one of our AWS accounts as a endpoint for VRA. It's a very slick looking new interface that they have for this. He's actually even split out cloud zones. He's actually done a lot of work. I should probably try to drag him along, and we can see what he's been doing in here. But yeah, it is really, I don't know if we have blueprints in here, if anything. I guess we don't, but this is essentially, like I said, VRA in the cloud. It's a really, really cool thing that we have kind of coming up. that is available now for purchase, I believe, and you can use it. Log intelligence is, I think we had a presentation on this last week. For those that weren't around, I highly suggest go looking at the video because log intelligence is something that was kind of bundled now for free at a limited capacity for when you purchase VMC. It'll give you kind of some basic logs around access control and some host-based stuff. Again, the free version is somewhat limited, and you can sign up for the service to get enhanced stuff. But it's something that's thrown in. It helps with root cause analysis. Does actually help significantly for compliances that customers can have and are working towards. We definitely recommend people to do. We collect all the logs on our side so that if something were to go wrong, we could definitely look through the logs and then come up with a root cause analysis and remediate the situation. But it's also handy for customers. I think everybody wants access to those logs, and we do have some such log redirection and stuff like that as well. But this is a really kind of cool service. The VMware Kubernetes engine is something that is in beta. Again, this is our container service to kick out to utilize Kubernetes. Big thing nowadays. Don't see a lot of customers actually using it, oddly enough. But it's we're definitely trying to get more into that space and be more of a cloud-ready company, for lack of a better term out there. Let's see if our VMware Cloud AWS is working now. There was some maintenance going on, so that's what it is. So we do have some NSXT. So NSXT is available now. So this is our actual M5 GA network and security. This is now T, which you can see the screen is fairly different. We have a session that went over this as well a little bit earlier, but now this is what you would get if you were to come into VMC today, request a T. So right now our default is still V. So if you came in, you're brand new, you just bought a whole bunch of credits and just went in and kicked out, we go back to the list and we hit this create SDDC button, you'd get a V. Because V is still, even though it's released in our M5, we're still calling it, if we go back to our roadmap, it is still technically in the preview stage, even though it's, I guess, kind of a mix between preview and available. We don't intend to change the default from V to T until, from what I've heard, maybe probably end of this year, maybe early next year. But that doesn't mean that you can't request it now and get access to T and start rolling with it today. Like I said, there is a fairly important patch for this coming in the near future that adds some functionality around NSXT with HCX and our site recovery services, which currently don't work together. But that's going to be, like I said, about a couple of weeks now, and that will all be resolved. Everybody kind of got a sneak peek there of what's been available and what's been announced, that we are in GovCloud West. Ohio's coming, Oregon's already there. Northern California's coming, Tokyo's coming, Sydney's coming, Ireland's coming. We just have early access to a bunch of stuff, so your results will not match ours when looking at this SDDC creation specifically, as well as we have the Zero Cloud. Now we do have this is actually a new widget. So like I said, you can't go through. We actually have access to 2 as well. We do have a plan to offer that in production as well in the near future, to have 2 hosts as the smallest SDDC production size. But there's some vSAN considerations that we're engineering around right now. But like I said, I think we went over this a little while ago, but there is really some cool things that come along to T, and we're kind of, in general, recommending customers that are coming on new, especially, to go with T as opposed to V, because with T comes the advantages of private VIFs being accessible for all of our networks over a direct connect from AWS side. We have the built-in connection from the VPN. Actually, that's going into the V as well. So shortly, and actually, I don't know if we have. I'm sure we have to have one of these built out. Let's look out at in testing. Oh, this might be on T as well. Yeah, that's on T as well. Let me look here. Yeah, so you can actually see that it's now just network. It's almost network security. That's the kind of how you can tell the difference. So here you can see we have configured a VPN. Maybe we can go back down to here more. A VPN from our compute gateway to our management gateway. As of now, as of 2 weeks, that will no longer be required. There will be a built-in link between the two of these that will make it so that you don't have to actually create that VPN. It just saves everybody a step, saves a little bit of configuration. It's something that everybody was basically doing anyway, so we just kind of bundled it into the product. So that's coming in V as well. Like I said, it's a little bit easier to see here. So shortly, we will no longer need this VPN from our compute gateway to our management gateway. That will just be part of the base networking stack. But yeah, if we go back, and again, talking about the NSXT, the distributed firewall comes in with T, which is something that I think is a very big interest to everybody. I know for me it is. So we still have the concept of the edge firewall, right? So in terms of networking, you can think about this as your north-south firewalls, as you will, and then your distributed firewall being your east-west, right? And this is traditional NSX. This is, we're not doing anything really kind of fancy here. We're just kind of exposing it in a portal here because via some API calls in the back end to offer it more out of out of our console and have everything available here for everybody to easily consume. We all also are doing. We now have added the route-based and policy-based VPNs as well as a layer 2 VPN, but we've actually added an additional one here, which was a concern for some customers. It adds a little bit of redundancy to being able to define some routes. So that comes in with T as well, so that's not available in V. IPFix port mirroring, if that's something that your security teams have an interest of, that's available in T as well. And like I said, so this is available now. Everybody can consume it now, and this is kind of exactly what it will look like to everybody. And you can see here we have a number of network segments defined right now. And for those that were a little bit unfamiliar with the V side, this is actually somewhat obscured in V, how to create these kind of network segments or logical switches and stuff like that. And here we just kind of, like I said, we've worked considerably on the portal and made it much more available and ready to consume. And like I said, either add just a regular routed network segment or an extended, of which you'll have to have the layer 2 VPN set up prior to put in the tunnel ID. But you can create a regular network right now, and I'm not going to do it because I don't want to. I think this is Michael's or mine, and I don't want to break stuff on them. Although that would be entertaining because they're all out in Denver right now. I think out for dinner. Our team is all out there together. I just got back from there. That's why I apologize that this is a little bit of a off the cusp type office hours because I just got off a plane. I got home about 30 minutes ago, give or take, from Denver, meeting some partners there that have some pretty cool solutions for VMware Cloud that hopefully we can have them on in the very near future talking about their solution. I don't know to be secret about it. I was meeting with Faction, who has quite a cool, they call it, what is it, the Cloud CCV, Cloud something volume. Essentially, they can do. We gave them some access to engineering to give them access to mount NFS data stores to VMC, which can turn up the capacity per virtual machine or per host significantly. Cloud control volume. I just wanted to make sure I corrected that. That's something I wrote down. But yeah, definitely we'll try to have those guys on in the very near future. A very big, very good partner of ours, and like I said, very, very cool solutions that run on top of VMware Cloud, which is always good. We just want our customers to get on there and get the advantages of VMware Cloud, regardless of kind of where they come in. And I'm a very big proponent of our partner community. I came from a partner to VMware, like probably many did. I have the unique advantage of kind of seeing, the VMware product from all sides. I first saw it as a partner, then I became a customer, then I became a partner again, and now working, I guess, at the vendor themselves. So I definitely do appreciate the partner community and all of the stuff that they sell, and particularly their excitement around this product, and a lot of the work they've done, and a lot of the buy-in that they've bought in with us, and we bought in with them, and our go-forward plans with a lot of our customers is really quite fantastic. So I'd like to have them on at some point. We will do that. We'll extend this to partners. There's other partners, such as DXC as well, that have been doing a significant amount of investment in developing solutions for VMC, which we have been working with the customer success team. So I think it's very, very valid and something we're very interested in doing to bring those partners on to discuss their solutions, so that the customers out there that are listening to this, there are options, right? You can still use, your local, VARs, resellers, ISVs, partners, or you can buy directly from us. But there is a myriad of options, and there's a lot of very cool solutions from a managed service perspective and professional services perspective from a number of our partners that will really offer some solutions that you can't just get straight from us, which I think is a very exciting thing. And like I said, I'm a big fan of the partner community and the ecosystem that has been built around our products. There is also, I believe, tomorrow. I want to say tomorrow. No, next week. Next week we have our V Forum online. If anybody has not heard about that or signed up quite yet, I'm gonna take a look here to see if I can find the information for you. I will be participating as one of those guys in the background that answers all your questions that you guys ask when Pat's doing his keynotes kind of thing, and so we all scramble on the back end and have a little bit of a competition to see who can answer the most amount of questions. And I think I could maybe won last year. I'll have to think about that. I might have to defend my trophy, which I will attempt to do. Thankfully for me, it's a little bit jaded because a lot of the questions that come in are VMware Cloud related, so I have a little bit of an inside track on that. And yeah, it is definitely October 9th. I'm just trying to find the actual sign-up link here. I'm sure I have gotten it. But that's definitely something that everyone wants to check out. I will also be in Atlanta in 3 weeks, give or take, to present on VMware Cloud. I do like to go around and present at VMware, all VMUG events. I love VMUGs as well. Anybody that knows me I know I just love to get out there in front of any customers we have and chat about our solutions. And I try to be very real and hopefully get that feel from even this Twitch office hours that I don't like to, I don't mince words. I tell people kind of like it is, and we go from there. Oh, I can't believe I'm having this much trouble finding this link. Anywho, I will continue to find that while I babble on. And like I said, if anybody has any questions out there while I'm looking. So like I said, we have the VMUG coming up. Then we have VMworld in Europe coming up in, I guess, just over a month. I will be there also for that. It was, so yeah, I was, I've been to the last 3 or 4. I want to say 3 at least. VMworlds in Barcelona. It's definitely a different, it's a little slightly different vibe than I think that VMworld US, if people have been to either or. It's really it's a smaller event, a little bit more intimate, I guess you could call it. It has about half the attendance, I think, of the U.S. one. We do still make a fair amount of big announcements at VMworld Europe. It's quite a bit later this year. Usually it's traditionally it was in the middle of October. I think it's usually next week. Last year it was early September. It was like a week after VMworld US, which nearly killed most of us employees that had to go to both events. But this year is now in the first week of November, which will be entertaining. So here is I actually did find there is a sign-up site here. Unfortunately, it's not the world's greatest. But if you go to VMware, here, I'll drag this one in as well. If you go to the VMware.com company events, it is VMforum Online here. You can register. There's going to be a lot of cool information there. You can just kind of like this, sit there at your desk and stream it and hear the good stuff that we're coming out with and all of the other aspects that we're going to talk about. I'm sure there's going to be some VMware Cloud talk in there. I'd be extremely surprised if there was not. We are on our side, personally, have seen things ramping up a little bit. We definitely have a lot more customer conversations, at least after VMworld. It definitely did drum up a lot of interest, and rightfully so. We made some more announcements, and I think this year, it's a little bit more real to everybody, as last year we had just kind of announced the service, and now we've been running for a full year. We've had some lessons learned, but for the most part, we've been running pretty much solid. There's a lot of our customers that were day one customers that have been plugging right through, using the service, expanding on the service, and had no downtimes, no significant issues, and really, just been kind of consuming the service as they would with any other of their private data centers, which I think is the big plus of it, and that's what we're seeing a lot of our customers coming in with for sure is, I need to be out of my data center, or maybe I don't need to be, but I want to be out of my data center, and by far the easiest way to do that is just to move to VMC because, it's all vSphere workloads right now. If it runs on my own premises right now, it'll run on yours, which is 100% true. There is sometimes some networking considerations that definitely need to be taken into effect, but or account. Sorry, and yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just clicking around here, and there's definitely once you kind of do the thought exercises and architecture around your networking and how that's going to look in latencies and whether or not it's acceptable. The rest of it falls into place fairly easily, which is good. If everybody hasn't seen this before, and I don't want to get in too much of this early, but we do have a troubleshooting tab in here as well, and currently is set up mostly for hybrid link mode because of a lot of customers that have had some issues with it, and I believe next week we have Eric coming on to discuss hybrid link mode, so hopefully I don't ruin too much of his thunder with this, but you can essentially just run after you put in all the information, which I don't feel like doing right now. You can essentially put in all this information, you run all the tests, bam, you run out with whether or not your setup will be excessive or where you're hitting a problem. It's not necessarily very intuitive in our interface when setting up hybrid cloud extension or hybrid link mode, where sometimes the issue is with it, and that could be very, very great in troubleshooting the issues that are there. All right, everybody's gonna have to close their eyes for a second here while I'll do this off screen. I'll put my RSA code in, although it's not like you can do anything with it afterwards, but I'm just kind of, like I said, just kind of tooling around in our interface, showing off some of the stuff that's in there. I did want to do some validations of some stuff in HCX as well. As this is, I would say that this is by far the most popular way that customers are bringing workloads into the cloud right now. I would say that by a long shot, it's the most popular method of bringing workloads in, and probably rightfully so. It is. Right. Let's see if this works. and like I said, it's a very good product. Apparently, we need to update it. Handy SAS World, right? Have it up there and then ready to go. Like I said, there's a whole bunch of stuff in here. I'm just looking for some logging information, which is in here. But this is something I'll probably have to do offline for. Again, just clicking buttons, seeing what's around. And again, everybody's in there on some ask any questions and chat. You're absolutely welcome to. I think I need to go into. Of course, I have too many windows open. No, I don't want the M5 GA one. I want this guy. Also, lately, for everybody out there, in the good old browser wars, Chrome seems to be the most successful browser right now. I just saw an email that we'd have fixed one of the long-standing cookie bugs out there. So that should fix up quite a few issues some people are having. But with Chrome, we've had a considerable amount of success running it. So it's definitely the one of choice. I used to use Firefox for it, but some of the Firefox updates lately have not been fantastic. So, like I said, this is where you'd actually set the hyperlink mode. Like I said, we're going to go into that into detail next week. We can see here we don't have a lot of information here. We do have a lot of information when you connect, but if it doesn't work, it's somewhat difficult to troubleshoot, and that's why we've brought in that troubleshooting this troubleshooting page to assist in where it's potentially breaking, and we'll probably go over that next week. It definitely merits a going through, and hopefully, like I said, I know Eric's a very smart guy, and he'll go. So the reason you'd want to set up hybrid link mode as well is that's what enables some permissioning stuff and live vMotions, non-HCX, but just our standard live vMotion type things. But yeah, there's not. What else can we chat about this week? The Cloud Motion with vSphere application is now out. We have a significant number of vMotions now, and I got my hand slapped a couple times for using the incorrect term for certain vMotions. Be it enhanced vMotion or regular vMotion, but Cloud vMotion with vSphere replication. I think we also call it vSphere replication assisted vMotion as well. I think is a name that's been kicking around for it as well. This is through HCX. Definitely something that has been really kind of cool. It's in preview mode. We can maybe go over this again, and we might need to have another session just on HCX with the new features that are coming in, and we'll probably do that after the M5P1 release in a couple weeks. So this is in there. So essentially, it syncs up the VM utilizing vSphere replication first, so that your failover times and your migration times are lessened thanks to the technology that's in there. We can do a bunch of bulk moves, and then it basically then we do a live vMotion, but with all of the bits have already been pre-synced, so the actual vMotion time is significantly shorter. So this is kind of removing a little bit more of that use for HLM, but they're kind of different use cases, and we'll go over that I think in more detail next week about where you would pick HCX versus HLM, and not that it's an either or, but there's definitely different feature sets that each can bring to the table, different complexities and stuff around that type of things. I mean, just to go quickly off the top of the head is, HLM has a little bit tighter of a requirement for vCenter versions on premises. I think it's 6.5 U1 and above. whereas HCX works with much older versions. The HLM works with all your existing networking, whereas HCX sets up its own networking construct. So there is some complexities there around what your end state could potentially look like. So again, there's a lot that kind of goes into some of these decisions that may not be all that straightforward, but that's definitely something that we'll cover more in detail next week. And I just want to, drop that little bit of a teaser in there, so hopefully get your minds working and you can come back in a week at our North American European time at 8 a.m. on Tuesday. And the biggest announcement I think that everybody's excited about is this, the vSAN. We talked about this at length last week. So if you're more curious about some of the releases that we made at VMworld, check out that YouTube video. You can find it at the bottom of the Twitch page to link to our YouTube. Where we discussed it. It's going to be a good use case. It's by no means a silver bullet. It's by no means the magic answer to the sizing woes that some of our customers have. Like I said, there's some interesting partner solutions out there that also address that. This helps in a very, very, very wide regard, but it's not the be-all end-all, and it's something that we're continuing to work on, as with everything. I'm actually going to go in when I do my VMUG presentation. I've been reworking that presentation deck, and one of the slides I'm going to put in there is I have teenage daughters, so I've listened to way more Drake than I probably should for a man of my age. But it's he has a song I'll call it nonstop, and so I was going to put a slide. I'm going to put a slide in there of Drake's with his nonstop line, because that's kind of the world we're living in now, where it's nonstop. We are developing and releasing features at an extremely fast pace. Something that VMware hasn't done in the past. We usually had a very long duration between 5.1 and 5.5 to 6.0 to 6.5. So this is kind of a new world. And we're learning as we're going, but I think we're doing a very good job of it. We've had some very smart people that have a lot of experience in this world running this for us, and being part of it has definitely been something extremely exciting, and it definitely does lean itself to never stopping. There's always something new to learn. There's always new features that are coming in, and new use cases or blockers that have been removed and use cases added. And it's just going to continue to go for that for the foreseeable future, much in the way that like AWS does. If you look at the AWS side of the house, they are constantly releasing new features and new capabilities, because that's what you need to do to stay competitive in this cloud world. And we definitely want to be competitive in that world, and that's what we're working extremely diligently to doing. So after VMworld Europe is also AWS reInvent. At this point, I'm not sure if I'm going. I've been to the last two. For those that have not been to a reInvent, it is an experience. It's almost worth going just for the experience. It's a little bit, it's 40,000+ people. It is across 5 or 6 different hotels in Vegas. Essentially, it takes over all of Las Vegas. And there is more sessions and content that is probably possible for a team of people to consume during that week. It is very exciting, and Amazon usually makes some very exciting announcements. We do have a presence there again this year. There are a number of sessions particular to VMC on AWS at reInvent as well. So if you're going to reInvent, definitely check those out. And like I said, I'm sure Amazon's going to have some exciting announcements that we may or may not be able to benefit from at reInvent. And like I said, it's a very hot season for conventions and announcements, and we just kind of keep rolling. But at this point, I think I've kind of rambled enough, and again, I apologize for a lack of real deep content here. Hopefully I've given you guys some previews of some stuff coming up. I highly recommend you sign up. And again, you can come to this site as well, where we list all the events that we're going to be at. Sign up for vForum online. It's next week. It's just right after our podcast, or our Twitch stream, our webinar, which will be nice lead in. You can kind of watch ours and then If you're not tired of me by then, I can answer some of your questions at the V forum. Put them in the chat. We do get to all of them. And there will be some pretty cool stuff covered there. I think we have quite a few thousand attendees already signed up to attend, so I would definitely recommend getting it. I'm sure it'll be available on YouTube or such afterwards, but it's always good to make these live events and ask questions. Just like you can with our office hours, you can ask me any kind of question you want at any time. But with that, I think I'm going to wind up this week. I'm a little bit talked out. Like I said, it's been pretty hectic. I'm going to be on the road again next week after our office hours. I'm going to be making the VMUG in Atlanta, so for anybody out that way, I definitely come out, drop by and say hi to me and ask any questions that you have or give feedback, especially if you have feedback about this office hours or the webinars we run. That would be just phenomenal. And as always, we do welcome a lot of feedback on our webinars and stuff that you guys want to see, whether you like the format or not, and what you would like to see in the future, and we will do as best as we can to address it. But at this point, barring any questions, which I don't think we have anything out there, I look forward to seeing everybody next week. Like I said, next week we're back to our Americas / Europe EMEA hours of 8 a.m. Pacific time. We'll be covering HLM Gateway in particular. Then we have some more content already coming into November. We have Aidan Dalgleish volunteered to do something, and we will be doing our office hours as well. But with anything, I thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing all of you again in the near future. Thanks very much. Goodbye.